When I rewatched the Gumball Rally, the strangest thing was not the speed. It was how unsafe everything felt. Not in a polished action movie way, more like the camera had accidentally wandered into a real illegal race, and everybody on screen was pretending this was normal. The cars feel too close, the roads feel too open, and every time that Cobra appears, you get the feeling the movie is barely holding itself together. That is what makes the Gumball Rally different. Released in 1976, the Gumball Rally arrived before the Cannonball Run turned outlaw cross-country racing into mainstream comedy. But this film feels rougher, stranger, and in some ways more authentic. Behind the fun, there were legal worries, nervous studios, real driving danger, improvised moments, and one missing Cobra story that sounds like it escaped from the movie itself. So let's look under the hood of the Gumball Rally and uncover 7 weird facts that make this cult racing comedy even more fascinating today. The movie was inspired by real outlaw racing, but the studio tried to keep that connection quiet. The premise of the Gumball Rally was not exactly subtle. A secret coast-to-coast race, eccentric drivers, fast cars. No patience for speed limits. It had the spirit of the real Cannonball-style runs all over it. But behind the scenes, that connection made the studio nervous. Illegal racing was already controversial in the 1970s, and nobody wanted the film to look like an instruction manual for breaking traffic laws across America. There was also concern about legal trouble from people connected to the real Cannonball world. So the movie had to walk a careful line. It used the attitude, the fantasy, and the rebellious energy of real outlaw racing, but avoided saying too much out loud. Of course, car fans understood immediately. The film may not have openly called itself a Cannonball movie, but everyone could hear the engine underneath. The actors were not protected the way modern action stars would be today. A movie like this would involve months of training, carefully controlled roads, digital cleanup, and very strict safety procedures. But the Gumball Rally came from a different Hollywood. The production had a much looser attitude. Actors were placed around real performance cars and expected to keep up with the energy of the stunt drivers. Some were not deeply experienced with high-speed driving. Some had to deal with manual gearboxes, real traffic, and powerful vehicles that did not forgive mistakes. That is why certain close-ups feel so alive when someone looks nervous behind the wheel. It does not always feel like acting. It feels like a person trying to stay calm while a very expensive machine is moving much faster than it probably should. That nervous texture is part of the film's magic. The danger does not feel clean, it feels present. The actors were not protected the way modern action stars would be today. A movie like this would involve months of training, carefully controlled roads, digital cleanup, and very strict safety procedures. But the Gumball Rally came from a different Hollywood. The production had a much looser attitude. Actors were placed around real performance cars and expected to keep up with the energy of the stunt drivers. Some were not deeply experienced with high-speed driving. Some had to deal with manual gearboxes, real traffic, and powerful vehicles that did not forgive mistakes. That is why certain close-ups feel so alive when someone looks nervous behind the wheel. It does not always feel like acting. It feels like a person trying to stay calm while a very expensive machine is moving much faster than it probably should. That nervous texture is part of the film's magic. The danger does not feel clean, it feels present. Raul Julia's most famous moment was reportedly improvised. One of the most memorable things about the Gumball Rally is Raul Julia as Franco. He does not just play a driver, he plays a philosophy. His famous first rule of Italian driving moment feels like the kind of line a screenwriter would polish for weeks. It is theatrical, funny, reckless, and instantly memorable, but the story behind it is even better. The scene was reportedly much simpler on the page. Julia took the moment and gave it life. He turned a basic race start beat into one of the film's defining scenes. That is why it works so well. It does not feel like a joke being delivered. It feels like a character revealing his entire worldview. What is behind him does not matter. The past does not matter. Consequences do not matter. Only the road ahead matters. For a movie about reckless freedom, that line became the perfect mission statement. Some of the police moments felt real because parts of the production were chaotic. One of the strange pleasures of the Gumball Rally is that the world around the race does not always feel fully controlled. That was not an accident. The production sometimes worked in real traffic, with real locations, and with a level of looseness that would be much harder to imagine today. Some officers were hired to help manage traffic and safety, but other police reportedly came across filming and reacted as if they had stumbled into actual road chaos. That gave some moments a rough authenticity. The cars were not just moving through a fake movie world, they were brushing against real streets, real people, and real confusion. This is one reason the film still has such a strange energy. It is a comedy, but it has the texture of something happening slightly outside the rules. And for a movie about an illegal race, that is exactly the right feeling. The Cobra's legendary engine sound was not completely real. For many fans, the sound of the Cobra is one of the most unforgettable parts of the Gumball Rally. That deep, violent growl feels like it could shake the pavement loose. It sounds raw, angry, and almost too perfect, and that is because it was partly movie magic. The real Cobra audio was reportedly difficult to capture cleanly because of wind, road noise, and recording limitations, so the sound team built a more cinematic version. They used another powerful V8 source, added weight, shaped the rumble, and created the kind of engine sound audiences wanted to believe was real. So, the Cobra we hear in the movie is not just a car, it is the fantasy of a car. Louder, meaner, more dramatic. Sometimes movie sound is not about accuracy, it is about creating the memory people carry with them. The wildest legend involves a missing Cobra replica. The strangest story connected to the Gumball Rally sounds almost too perfect for a movie about outlaw racers. During production, the film reportedly used a hero Cobra, along with replica vehicles for certain shots. At some point, one of those replicas disappeared. At first, it may have looked like a normal production mystery. Maybe the car was misplaced, maybe it was scrapped, maybe the paperwork got lost. But over time, a much better legend grew around it. According to the story, a real underground racer took the replica from the production and kept it hidden for years. Not as a museum piece, not as a forgotten prop, but as a secret car that was occasionally brought back onto the road for late-night drives and illegal racing. Whether every detail is true or not, the legend fits the movie perfectly. A Cobra from the Gumball Rally disappearing into the same outlaw world the film was inspired by. That is not just trivia, that is the movie's spirit escaping into real life. That is why the Gumball Rally still has a special place in car movie history. It may not be the biggest racing comedy of the 1970s. It may not be the most famous, but it has something cleaner films often lose. It has texture. The roads feel real. The cars feel dangerous. The performances feel loose, and the whole movie carries the smell of gasoline, sunlight, and bad decisions. It came from a time when action filmmaking was rougher, riskier, and sometimes a little too close to the edge. And maybe that is why people still remember it. Because the Gumball Rally is not just about reaching the finish line. It is about the fantasy of throwing away the rearview mirror, pressing the gas, and believing that for one impossible moment, the whole country belongs to the driver. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments which car from the Gumball Rally would you choose for a coast-to-coast race. Because every movie has a mask, and we are here to take it off.